Hey everyone, this is Jen from Planting Science. In honor of our fall 2023 session, which is a big research session for us for our F2 Digging Deeper program, we have been working with HubZero to add some new features and improve some of the usability of areas of our website. And with that in mind, we thought this would be a great time to create some new tutorial videos that kind of bring you up to date. So if you're new to planting science and you're just trying to figure your way through it, this is going to walk you through everything you need to know. If you've been with us in the past, this will provide you with a good refresher. We'll also showcase some things you may not have seen before. So hopefully you find it useful. Um, this is the fourth video. So the first one dealt with the user dashboard, which we'll go to now. Notice I'm logged in as a teacher right now. I've said this in all the videos, but be aware that what the teacher sees and what the liaison sees are going to be very similar. However, if you're used to only being to serving as a mentor, you're going to see very different things because you don't have the same group privileges. So just be aware. It's a good opportunity for you to kind of see what goes on behind the scenes, though. So I would encourage you to go ahead and hang with us and watch it. The second thing we did was we went to our group and we talked about all the features of the group. And in the third video, we went to our members here and we invited mentors to our group. So now in this video, we're going to talk about the projects. And I think the first thing, if I can make sure that everybody hears me on one thing, it's that everything student related happens on the projects tab. So one big mistake that some teachers make is that they try to invite all their students on the members tab. Do not do that. That introduces us to their email address and all of their contact information, and we don't want to know any of that. So please don't use the members tab to try to invite your students. That's not the way that works. Instead, because we work with students as young as 12, we try to take every possible precaution we can to avoid getting any identifying information that would lead anyone to that student. So what we do then is we only use first names or nicknames. We give them a dummy email address, so they will not be using their school email address to log in at all, and they will get a randomized login name. So that can create some confusion, but I'm going to show you some ways that you can avoid having kids like constantly trying to figure out how to log in. So first thing first, though, is that we do have to have projects for them to work in. Students cannot see the group level stuff. They can't see this overview. They can't see the members list, any of it. All they can see is the project to which they have been assigned. So we have to, of course, create projects. So let's assume for the sake of argument that I have a group of classes and I think I'm going to have about 8 projects. You'll see I already have 2 of them here. The process is much the same. Even if I was starting from scratch, I just would only put in 2 less. But the button to create projects is up here in the upper right. That is something I would like to move, but we haven't quite gotten to that point yet. So the add project button is going to be up here in this green field. You're going to click on that, and it's going to ask me for the number of projects to add. Now, I don't need a full 8 because I already have 2, so I'm just going to put in 6. However, if you're starting out fresh, put the total number of groups you need, project teams you need, and then you're going to click add. So notice that I'm not clicking create yet. I'm clicking add because it's going to draft those first. And by that, I mean that's literally creating a draft of them. The projects don't exist yet, even though I've clicked this. What this gives me an opportunity to do is to add group members to be the mentors of these new groups that I've created. If you do not have your mentors recruited, that is 100% okay. Don't worry about it. It's going to automatically populate everyone else. And so you can kind of glance and make sure that the liaison that's listed is actually the liaison, that your name as the teacher, if you're the teacher, is here in the teacher role. And planning science staff is usually the administrator. So you're going to just kind of glance through these, make sure everybody looks like they should. Typically they do. And then you're going to click create. So the projects do not exist until you click create. And there we have them. Okay, so now on my screen I have 8 projects, and notice that they are numbered 1 through 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those numbers are important because the kids can change the name of their project if they want to. And a lot of times kids come up with some pretty great names for their projects. So we encourage teachers to encourage their students to do that. But that number is a big identifier. And notice that there's this very long alias here. That number's at the end of that alias, no matter what they change their name to. So that's all completely It's all protected. But you do want to think of them in terms of these numbers, which is group 1, group 2, group 3. Because when you go to add your students in, you're going to need to assign them to the number of the project, not the whole name. So to do that, notice that here at the top of this screen, in addition to the projects below, there is a tab that says Updates Feed. And that shows me all the messages that have been posted ever on any of the projects at any time. And I'll come back to why that's important in a minute. And then there's a Students tab. And this is where I can load in students. Now, I had a student in here that I deleted. That's why it says 3. But there's a couple of ways that you can add students to your platform. One of them, I mean, you're always going to click create, but one of them is to add them by hand one at a time. So you could click add here and add, 10 to 15 times and add students by hand. And all you're going to enter is their first name, a password, and which project they are. And it'll let you pick from this drop down. The problem with this is what I just demonstrated too, is like when I click on first name, especially if you're on Chrome, but I think most browsers do this, is they offer to auto load you. And as you can see, I log in as quite a few different monikers depending on what's going on. So it's very annoying for me to enter students this way. The other thing is it's very time consuming if you have more than like say 5 or 10 students that you want to put in. So I don't recommend this way unless you're like adding a new student or you're just making a change. This is not the most efficient way to do it. Now, the more efficient way to do it is to go here and click on a download template. And what that does is it pulls down a CSV file. And I'm going to actually close this one because I downloaded one earlier for demonstration purposes. And when you download it, it's just going to have these 3 fields: their first name, the password, and the project. Same 3 fields that were on the screen. Now, I've loaded one up already, and I have my first names here. Notice that there are no last names. The only exception might be if you have like 2 kids with the same name, and then you can put the last initial or something in there. The other thing you are welcome to do, if you're more comfortable with that, is to give every kid a nickname. A lot of people do that. Some people will give them all names of trees or something like that, just to further like add another layer of privacy. Sometimes the kids get a big kick out of picking what their nickname's going to be. For the password, and I strongly recommend this, you don't have to do this, but I strongly recommend it to all the teachers. When you are putting the password in, put in the same password for everybody to start with. When students get their account and they log in, they're going to be prompted to change their password anyway. And it's a whole lot easier to tell the whole class, here's the password you're going to use to log in, and have them do it. And then then they can change it to whatever they want once they get it in there. And then over here under project, notice that I don't have a drop down where I can pick from the list that's there. So what I put in here is just the number of the group. And that corresponds, again, to this number at the back of the group name. Okay. So you want to make sure that that matches up, that you have kids for every project. And then you're going to save it. That's something I always forget to do. So we're going to save it. Yes, save it. Save it as it is. Don't worry about that. And then we're going to come over here and we are going to click here to drop that file. Let's see, it'd be in my downloads, students 6, or students 5 rather. There we go. And I'm going to open that and it's going to load it up. And you can even double check here. Is this all my kids? Yes, it is. That's all my kids. All right, all 30 of my kids. And you can even check here to make sure that they're assigned to the correct projects. And then you can click create. So once again, at this point, they are just drafted. They are not actually in the system yet. And when you click this, it will actually create accounts for every student on the platform and apply that password, the plant 123 plants password. Okay. So now you can see that. And now if I go back to my projects tab, and I can close out my little notifier here, you'll notice that the teams are automatically set up. So there's those students. This team has these students and it has a mentor and everything. So that's how you do that. It's very, very straightforward. Now, if you need to make changes to a team, and this is also how you would add a mentor to a team. So say we come here to this team here, and we have these 3 students, but say like Nicholas has changed classes. So now I need to edit the team because he's no longer taking this class. So I'm going to click on edit. Excuse me. I'm going to click on Nicholas and I'm going to come up here and click on delete. And that will pull him out of that group. Okay. Now, if I want to move another student into this group for some reason, I have to go to the students tab for that. So I'm going to come back to my main group I'm going to come to the projects tab, and I'm going to go to the students tab and say the person that I want to move is Coralie. I'm going to click on this crayon for Coralie, and I'm going to pick the new group here. So that will move Coralie into group 2, and I'm going to click save. Now, one other thing that you may have noticed there when I clicked on the crayon is that I can click on the crayon and I can change the student's password. That is really important because here's the thing. Because we do not have the student's actual email addresses in our system by intent, if they use the forgot my password link, it is not going to work for them. That message that's going to give them like a confirmation message and all that, that's going to go to some dummy email address and it's not going to come to them at all. So they will click it and they will wait and nothing will happen. So you need to make sure your students are aware that if they forget their password, it's not a big deal, but they have to tell you, because you can come here and you can put in a new password for them here. And all you do is put it in once and hit save, and then they can log in. Of course, you want to make sure that they're aware that passwords are case sensitive and that they shouldn't have any spaces in before or after it, all of the usual things with a password. But this is where you're going to come if students lose their password and you need to change it. Now, one other thing that's really helpful when you're handing students out when you're trying to distribute their names, notice that underneath each one there's a PS number, a PS, and then a number, a PS and a number. That means planting science, and then this is your ID number. And so that number is what they're going to use to log in, not their first name, not their email address. And to help them remember that, you can use this export function here to export a PDF. And the PDF is kind of cool. What it does is it includes their name and their project and all that. But here is their username. And notice that the password section is blank. So the reason why it's blank is because, again, they're going to log in and they're going to be prompted to change it right away. So putting in the existing password wouldn't be much use to them because they're going to change it anyway. So what you do is you cut these tickets out and you give it to the students as you're giving them their login, and then have them write the new password that they choose onto this slip of paper and then put it in their science notebook or tape it to their computer or something so that they always have an easy place to remember it. So that is one mechanism that we put in to help students remember. But if your students are having trouble logging in, the things you want to check with them are they using the correct email? Are the correct login? Are they using the PS username? That's number one. Number two, do they know what their password is? Make sure that we have the correct password. And then number three, is their password case sensitive? Are they putting in the wrong cases? Are they adding spaces? Kind of do all of that checking. If all of those things are failing on you, then definitely let me know, and we can work with the student to try to make sure we can get them online. But that's how it works. When you want to add mentors to your team, you go to the same place. You go to the team, and you can click on edit team, and you can add members to the group. So the liaison typically takes on this role, but teachers can do it too. You can go to select members from your group. Say I want to make Jennifer A.B. Hartley to be the mentor for this, and then I'm going to check that box and click Save Selection. Now, the only concern when you do that is that it will often add that person as a student. But as long as you're in the edit screen, you can click on student and you can select the word mentor from the drop down box and click save, and that will put them in the correct role. That is important because otherwise the reports on the website will not be able to track whether the mentor has posted lately because no one's marked as a mentor. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have trouble with any of this, of course, you can always let me know. We are happy, as usual, to meet with you one-on-one by Zoom and walk you through it. In a pinch, I have also had teachers just send me the roster and I put it in for them. We're happy to work with you, whatever is going to make it easiest for you. Now, the last thing I wanted to make sure I mentioned, which I brought up before, sorry, let me back up. I'm going to go back out to my project. Okay, is the updates feed. The reason why the updates feed is key is because, number one, it allows you to post a message to all groups at the same time. So if you, as a teacher, for example, wanted to remind students that today's the day they had promised to update their mentor on what their data look like, you can write one message here, make sure it's set to all projects, and it will post a message in the updates feed of every project on the system. at one time. So that's really handy and convenient. It's also great for liaisons to be able to come here and kind of see things at a glance, like who has posted recently, so that they don't have to necessarily dive into each individual feed. The other thing that's key about this, though, is that occasionally, very occasionally, you'll have a student log on that will be, maybe not in the best place, and they might take that out on the updates feed by posting something really inappropriate. In that case, something that you may want to make clear to your students is that as they're posting to their mentors on these update feeds, every single message that gets posted gets emailed to the staff. I don't necessarily read them all. I have them all filtered into a folder. But if the liaison notices that message and then comes to me about it, I've got it and I will forward it to the teacher and we'll work through what to do about whatever was posted. The other thing to note is that that message will also appear here, even if the student deletes it. So that message, the email message will come to me no matter what. And if they delete it, it doesn't delete the email, but it also will not delete the message from this feed either. So the teacher has an easy way to come in here and check and see, which things were added. Even if the student was deleted, it will still show up here. So this maintains a permanent record of anything that's posted to the feeds. Now, the last thing I want to do before I sign out is just give you a quick introduction into the project page itself. Um, it's very easy and straightforward to use, I think, for the most part, but the first time you see it, it may not necessarily be totally instinctive. So when students log in, this is what they will get to be able to see. And there is an info field here at the top. There's the updates here. This is where they're going to type their message to their mentor. They have some formatting options available. And then the messages will appear down here in reverse chronological order. So you can see here the staff is logged in, the mentor is logged in and posted an introduction, their liaison is logged in and introduced themselves. So the next step is usually the students log in and post an introduction to themselves about what they're doing. We have a scavenger hunt that's available too that you can assign to students that walk them through the parts of this page and show them what is what. That link will be made available to you on your forum, so you are welcome to use it if you want to. It is not a requirement. It's just something kind of handy. It does assume that the students are kind of all working together at the same time, though. So keep that in mind. But up here in these blue fields, this is where they're going to explain the various parts of their project as they're working along. So they will come here to info. They will click on edit project. And this is where they can give themselves a creative name if they want, but they should be filling in this explore, research question predictions, design, and their conclusions here, just as a paragraph describing what's going on. You'll notice that there's no field here for their observations and data, and that is because we expect them to be posting that into the updates field. But there are questions that are posted with each one to kind of give them an idea of what they should be including. And then down here, if they want to add a fun image, they can. Of course, it's going to be up to you whether you allow them to do that. But a lot of times they will find really cute and funny images on the internet. Obviously, you just want to check to make sure it's school appropriate. But anytime they change anything here, they want to click Save Changes, and that will take them back out to their project page. So that is how that works. As I've mentioned before, in the need help section here, there is a link at the very top where you can easy way to send me an email. I also do have my my business cell phone there, so if you want to send me a quick text, tell me who you are and what I can do for you, and I will do my best to respond. Obviously, outside business hours, I'm a little slower to get to it, but I will do my best. And then if you want to sit down and have me walk you through what to do, I am here for you. That is what this section is for. There are appointment times on this calendar and it updates every week. So you can pick one that's going to work for you. And if none of them work for you, you can also invite me by email and we'll figure something out. But I'm happy to sit down by Zoom and walk you through everything you need to know. Let me know if you have any other questions. But thank you so much for being a part of this program and have a good rest of your day.